You literally feel the bullets flying over you.
We do not want this. And we're here to tell you guys that we're tired. Next, come up MPs wakivote yes to our recall.
Kenya has long been regarded as one of East Africa's strongest democracies. A country where elections are fiercely contested, where citizens openly debate politics, and where the constitution guarantees every Kenyan the right to protest peacefully. But over the last 2 years, another story has unfolded, one that has left businesses destroyed, communities divided, and many citizens are asking whether violence is becoming an accepted part of political life. Across social media, television broadcasts, and newspaper headlines, one word appears again and again: Goons. No official definition exists, yet almost every Kenyan knows what the word means. Groups of young men, often carrying clubs or other crude weapons, appearing suddenly during demonstrations, political rallies, or public gatherings, sometimes attacking protesters, sometimes looting businesses, sometimes confronting rival political supporters, sometimes disappearing before anyone knows who they are. Who are these men? Why do they keep appearing? And what does their rise reveal about modern Kenya? This is their story. Public protest is not new in Kenya. For decades, demonstrations have been part of the country's political identity. They have challenged governments, demanded constitutional reform, defended human rights, and expanded democratic freedoms. The Constitution guarantees every Kenyan the right to assemble peacefully. But history also tells another story. Periods of political tension have, at times, been accompanied by violence. Election-related clashes, criminal gangs exploiting unrest, and recurring allegations that youth groups have been mobilized for political purposes. Many of those claims have remained difficult to prove conclusively, yet they continue to shape public debate whether violence erupts. In 2024, Kenya witnessed something different.
I swear, we had to crawl out of parliament, running, crawling out, running. Now, at this time, I felt a bit, I really hope we make it out alive because the bullets were, ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. You could literally feel the bullets flying over you. We were all on the floor.
These are live bullets which they're using against the innocent kids. Nimebeba hapa karibu niko na 10.
Thousands of young people, many with no previous involvement in politics, organized through social media. Their target was the finance bill. Their message was simple: no new taxes, more accountability, and an end to corruption. For days, the demonstrations remained largely peaceful. Then everything changed. As crowds gathered around Parliament, confrontations escalated. Security forces responded. Buildings were damaged. Lives were lost. The finance bill was eventually withdrawn. But another image will define those protests. Videos showing groups of unidentified young men attacking demonstrators, breaking into businesses, looting shops, and disappearing into the crowds. Almost immediately, Kenyans began asking the same question: who were they? Government officials said criminal gangs had infiltrated otherwise peaceful demonstrations. Critics argued that organized groups were being used to undermine legitimate protest. To this day, many individual incidents remain the subject of competing claims.
That's who they are.
You should put that question to the heads of the other agencies.
What you could do, because I don't think the images could amount to forensic investigation, what you could do is, as a journalist or an eyewitness who witnessed who did what, is to help us with that information. The team that is looking at that investigations, and if there are people who are exercising police powers who are not police officers, those are criminals.
When I think about 3-4 people were killed, is a time I think when the Kenya Defence Forces special teams arrived, plus other special forces from the internal organ of the police to boost.
Shortly after I spoke to the president, he assured me the military was coming in and special forces will come, and he directed us, since he also was privy to the same intelligence, that we were targets for elimination.
After 2024, reports of similar groups became increasingly common. Business owners described demonstrations that changed within minutes. Peaceful marches followed by organized violence. Some protesters allege they have been attacked by coordinated groups armed with clubs.
Nataka nione wanaume hapa. Kama wewe ni mwanaume, kujeni hapa, kuja hapa. Watatuua hapa Nyahururu. Vijana mukuje. Kama noma. Kama mbaya.
Authorities responded that criminal elements had hijacked demonstrations for theft and destruction. Whatever their origin, the consequences were clear. Every protest now carried uncertainty. Will it remain peaceful, or will violence once again overshadow legitimate public expression? For ordinary Kenyans, that uncertainty came at a cost. Lost income, damaged property, and growing fear. For generations, churches in Kenya have served as a place of refuge, spaces where political differences give way to prayer. But even tradition has recently been tested. On July 12, 2026, a church service at St. Stephen's SCK Cathedral in Kisumu, attended by opposition leaders including Senator Edwin Sifuna and Governor James Orengo, descended into chaos after groups described by witnesses and media reports as suspected goons attempted to disrupt the gathering.
So he was telling us to be alert. It is not a rumor. When we also applied our security team outside, this is the outcome. They were arrested when they moved closer here with their border. And these are the Silaha which were quoted from them. We have come this low as the people of Kisumu. And so even when we are living outside here, maybe the enemy is not yet fully defeated. We must continue being vigilant because they came in borders. Fortunately, one of them was lost in the border because it has been found outside here. And the people will with us here. But this is evidence of the rogueness in Kisumu. So please, if you are part of the team that was sending messages outside, and as I started in police, woe unto you.
Congregants scattered. Police intervened. At least one person was reported injured. The service eventually continued. But the symbolism of the incident was difficult to ignore. If violence could reach a church, where else was safe? The unrest did not end at the cathedral. Elsewhere in Kisumu, confrontation spread into surrounding streets. Motorcycles were burned, political supporters clashed, businesses closed their doors. On the same day, political activities linked to the Linda Mwananchi movement in Nyahururu were also disrupted. Vehicles were vandalized, several people were injured. Police later announced arrests connected to the violence. As often happens in Kenya's political disputes, responsibility quickly became contested. Opposition leaders accused the government of failing to protect citizens and alleged that organized groups had been used to intimidate political opponents. Government officials rejected those accusations and said criminal gangs and rival political actors were responsible. Investigations into the incidents continue. But for many Kenyans, the larger concern extends beyond any single event. Why do violent groups continue to appear whenever political tensions rise? No single explanation fully accounts for the phenomenon.
The growing menace of organized criminal gangs is sparking fresh concern ahead of the 2027 general election. As Ayub Abdikadir reports, questions are now mounting over the state's failure to rein in on the groups, the apparent inability of key institutions to curb their influence, and warnings from religious leaders who are now demanding urgent action to prevent a deeper security and political crisis.
If you want to go to Haiti, Haiti is here.
We are slowly descending to the state of Haiti. Haiti started like this.
Researchers, analysts, and civil society organizations point instead to several overlapping factors. Youth unemployment remains high, leaving many young people vulnerable to recruitment by criminal networks or anyone offering quick money. Politics itself has become increasingly polarized, creating incentives for confrontation rather than dialogue. Weak accountability can allow organizers of violence to operate with little fear of consequences. And social media spreads information and misinformation at extraordinary speed, making it easier for confusion and fear to escalate.
Large over the country's soul as Kenyans gear up for next year's polls. This made evident by the bold brandishing of crude weapons and attacks including on leaders, Vihiga County Senator just but an example. Despite tough talk, the government has not apprehended the masterminds in spite of the chilling documentation of their actions on CCTV. Questions abound over erosion of institutions mandated to remedy the situation.
The police are under instructions through the policy guidance of the Cabinet Secretary to decisively deal with all goons without fear or favor.
Throughout the Republic of Kenya, whether it is in Kiamumbi, whether it is in Kiambu, whether it is in Central Kenya, whether it is in Nyanza, wherever it is, goons will be dealt as such, and they will be dealt as individuals who have committed crimes against the Constitution of Kenya.
Whether these groups are organized criminals, political mobilized actors, opportunists exploiting unrest, or a combination of all three may differ from case to case. What is beyond dispute is that the public bears the cost. Behind every headline lies another story. The trader whose stock was stolen, the boda rider who lost his livelihood, the worshipper caught in violence, the student unable to reach school, the worker afraid to enter the city. Political violence rarely ends with politicians.
Men of God have issued a salvation, preaching hope, but to a problem born out of failure in political leadership, who have time and again fallen short of devising policies to arrest a problem now blowing out of proportion.
We have one country, and it belongs to all of us.
Hawa Goon hatujui ni akina nani. Tunaona tu vurugu kwa kila mikutano. Wameingia hata kwa makanisa. Tungetaka pia kukemea hawa Goons na wale ambao wanafadhili Goons.
Its consequences are carried by ordinary citizens, and every outbreak leaves another scar on public trust. Democracy depends on more than elections. It depends on trust. Trust that citizens can protest peacefully. Trust that places of worship remain safe. Trust that political disagreement will not become physical violence. The rise of groups widely described as goons has challenged that trust. Whether they are criminal gangs, politically connected actors, or individuals exploiting moments of unrest, each incident deepens public anxiety and fuels demands for accountability. The future of Kenya's democracy will not be decided only in parliament or at the ballot box. It will also depend on whether violence is rejected by all political actors, investigated impartially by authorities, and replaced with dialogue, accountability, and respect for the rule of law. Because when fear becomes part of politics, democracy itself begins to pay the price.